I inherited a KOBALT 7 1/4 sliding compound miter saw with laser guide. The model number is #S.M. 1850LW. The saw does not run, and I'd like some guidance troubleshooting the problem. History: the saw was purchased a few years ago and was intended to be used to cut some wood flooring for installation in some rental properties. I mention this because time was a factor. After about a dozen cuts, the saw just stopped. By that, I do not mean started and then stopped. I mean that between cuts something went awry and the saw became unresponsive. The owner referred to the owner's manual, which offers advice in these situations as follows: replace the motor brushes, and/or send the saw to a qualified repair facility. Neither option could be exercised in a timely manner, so the owner opted to buy another similar saw, which worked great. The project was completed, and the saw I have now was shelved for attention later. So far, the only steps I've taken in troubleshooting is to inspect the power cord and plug, which seems okay, no apparent wear or break, and plug in the saw and attempt to operate it. Nothing. No sound, no smell. Nothing at all. It does not seem to be getting power, though I've confirmed power is okay at the source. My next step was to replace both brushes, and the caps that hold them in place. The brushes I replaced looked brand new, however, consistent with about a dozen cuts worth of use. Side note: it took over 6 months to receive these brushes after I ordered and paid for them. They're on backorder. We hope they'll be here next week, was what I was told every week for 6 months. Anyway, the saw is equipped with a laser guide. This guide should illuminate when the trigger is squeezed, but does not. Maybe a defective guide, but I suspect this is also a no power issue. I need some guidance in determining where the power break is, or if the whole motor is shot, which I doubt, but who knows. And any advice on how to make the saw work. Thanks. I look forward to hearing from an expert soon.
Hi, my name is will be assisting you. The laser is powered by batteries, which are most likely no good by now if they were left in the unit. If the batteries have by chance leaked acid, it could have gotten down into the wiring connections at the on/off switch for the saw and corroded it to a point that the switch is no longer working properly. I would suspect batteries and possibly a new on/off switch will solve the problem for you. I am including a link to the owner's manual for this saw so that you can view it if needed. On page 12 you will see location of batteries for laser and instructions for replacing them. http://pdf.lowes.com/useanchorguide/00099309009_use.pdf. Thank you for choosing to use our services. Please take a moment to rate your experience using the star rating system that is provided for you.
Hi John. Immediately. As in about an hour after I posted my explanation of the problem, I discovered the laser battery issue. I have a copy of the owner's manual and had somehow missed the little blurb explaining that the laser operates from a separate battery-powered source. I checked, and the batteries had been removed, and there was no sign of acid leakage. I replaced the batteries, and all is good as far as the laser. At this point, I agree that I probably need a new on/off switch, but would like to track down the wiring and test the motor and switch S to be sure. Switch is shown as possibly plural, in that there are 2 separate triggers that must be engaged for the saw to operate. One is engaged by pressure using the thumb, and the other by closing the remaining 4 fingers and squeezing a bar into the handle. That said, I think the thumb switch is simply a spring-loaded safety device to prevent accidental engaging of the squeeze trigger. You can't squeeze without thumb trigger engaged. My intention in contacting JustAnswer was to find someone familiar with the how-to of opening the motor and/or electrical switch casing. Someone who could supply a wiring diagram and/or at very least an exploded drawing showing the component parts. What screws go where and hold what to what. That sort of thing. I cannot find such diagrams. Wiring or mechanical. Anywhere online, and the good folks at Lowe's and at KOBALT have been found in my experience here to be useless in providing any assistance. All that said, I am not confident you have the experience or resources to guide me through this project step by step. That is not a criticism. I spent a lot of time and effort looking for someone specifically qualified to address the issues I'm having with the saw, and I came up empty. I'm convinced no such person exists outside of the R&D team at KOBALT. And they aren't talking. The saw was a freebie, and while I was hoping to throw a few bucks at it and make it right, I think it's time to bite the bullet and just start a by the numbers deconstruction of the saw, testing as I go. And addressing the problems once I find them. For example, although the unit is designed for maximum portability, I intend to mount it to a wheeled bench or cart. So mounted, I may be able to bypass the switch in the unit and install a separate light switch in the power cord and mount it directly to the bench/cart. Again, though, if I can access the unit's internal switch to determine if that is the problem, and then successfully bypass it. Thank you, responding to my question. Best wishes to you in your future endeavors.
You are correct in the fact that I have limited experience with this unit. I do not normally do repairs on electric product mainly due to cost. I as well have searched for wiring diagrams for this machine, but there are none to be found. I was able to find a breakdown of the unit which shows the switches as well as part numbers for those switches. My experience would tell me that if you get the switch cover off and check the voltage coming into the switch from the power cord, through the switches and out to the motor, you can determine whether or not you are getting power through the switches and to the motor or not. It should be pretty straightforward on that because you will typically have a black wire and white wire that provide power through the switches and over to the motor. All you need to verify is if you are in fact getting voltage through the switches and to the motor. The previous link that I provide also has a breakdown of the unit on page 39. You can see the location of the switches and the cover that has to be removed in order to access those. I do apologize that I can't be of any further assistance to you with this issue. Please take a moment, however, to rate your experience using the star rating system that is provided for you.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/ythi.